There are two drugs. They are natural products or antibodies that have been produced artificially in significant amounts and used in a way that they're passively transferred by an intravenous route to patients. And they're part of a clinical trial, a randomized controlled trial involving 4 therapeutics. And the data from that trial is intermittently examined by an independent board of unbiased observers to determine if the trial should go on, depending upon what the data showed. And on Friday, August the 9th, the Data and Safety Monitoring Board looked at the data and determined that 2 of the candidates among the 4 were highly significant in their ability to decrease the mortality of Ebola virus disease compared to the control arm as well as to the other antibody. So the bottom line is we now have 2 interventions that can decrease the mortality of Ebola virus disease substantially compared to a control. Cure, in my mind, can be interpreted by people that everyone who gets an intervention no longer has the disease. Ebola is a bit more complicated than that. Some people recover from Ebola without any intervention at all. What one can say with pure accuracy is that these interventions significantly decrease the percentage of mortality in Ebola virus disease. Some people might call that a cure. I tend to stay away from the word cure and merely say it's a major advance in the development of treatment of Ebola. What these drugs are is out of the body, artificially, we've been able to make antibodies that are similar to or identical to the antibodies that are made by your body. But these antibodies are directed very strongly against the Ebola virus. So when you passively transfer these antibodies to someone who's sick and infected with Ebola, it essentially knocks out the virus. It binds to the virus, it neutralizes it, and it knocks it out. And because of that, the mortality of Ebola diminishes dramatically. With one of the 2 drugs that we now know works, the mortality went down to 29%, and in the other one it went down to 30%. So that's a very significant diminution in mortality compared to the general situation in the DRC, as well as compared to the control arm of the trial. What we're hoping is that when people hear that there's now an intervention that can actually help them to the point of saving their lives, that people would be much more enthusiastic about coming to the Ebola treatment units early in their infection instead of waiting until they have advanced disease. So we hope that this will be an incentive to get people to act in a way that might ultimately be beneficial to saving their lives.